Right, hi. This is my 14 chakra tarot reading for the new year and the first few months of 2024. I reckon it's about the first 3 months. And these are the questions that I asked when I was pulling the cards. They are, what can we expect energetically for those first few months? And how can we meet that in ways that align with our highest good and to raise humanity to a greater level of consciousness and unity? Now, this is a list of the 14 chakras or energy centers that I connected to throughout the reading. I'm not going to go through them all, but if you're interested, you can screenshot this. It's basically a list and where they're located inside and around the human body. This is the signifier for the whole spread. The signifier is a card that contextualizes all the cards that follow, and it stays out throughout the entire spread. It's, as you can see, the Hanged Man reversed. So the overall energy for this reading is one of pause. Now, this is a pause that may hold some tension. It's not necessarily the kind of pause which is like, hey, I'm kicking back my heels. This is kind of a peaceful and relaxing time, because the pause may not feel entirely within our control or be a choice that we've made. Now, this could manifest as just feeling low on energy, not quite enough petrol in the car, physically a bit tired, difficult to carry on with the same momentum that we've been carrying on. This can be or feel as though, because it's of something to do with external circumstances, just something that's going on, stuff that's going on globally, stuff that's going on for us in our communities or even individually. Or it could be something along the lines of a lack of faith, a lack of really feeling the direction that we want to be going in, that we want to be aligning to. Now, that doesn't sound so positive, right? But there are always positives. There are always opportunities in these. So even if this is something that we do experience, the opportunity is something quite unique to the Hanged Man. It's to be able to look at things from a different perspective. Now, he's reversed here, so he looks like he's standing up. Maybe he's even doing a little dance. But when he's upright, he is hanging upside down. And when we look at things upside down, we see the same things from a different perspective. They look a little bit different. And so this is the opportunity here to really take stock and be open to seeing things slightly differently, maybe even seeing new things, expanding our awareness. And another aspect of the Hanged Man when he's reversed is that there is a point when the light goes green, when the pause is over, when maybe it's to do, and I will connect the cards that follow to this. There will be guidance on and opportunities in how to fill up, how to get the maybe it's a bad analogy, but it's what's coming to mind right now. Getting there enough petrol in the car in order to be able to move forward. And things will change so that the light goes green, things become clearer. But the indication is really to take the time before then to open up and, just welcome any opportunities to see what has not been seen in quite the way that it's being presented to date. Okay, so this is what the spread looks like. It's a lot of cards. I'm not going to stick with this slide, but again, you can screenshot it if you want. It's got a brief description of the energies of the various chakras. And this is the way that I drew the cards for each of them. So the first card, and actually it turned out that it wasn't necessarily always one card for each question. Sometimes there were two, sometimes there were more. But if there had been one card, which was the idea when I started, the first card would have been an answer to the question, what is the general energy of and guidance for this chakra, this particular energy? 2, What should or could we do more of? 3, what should or could we do less of? And 4, what should or could we carry on doing? And I have those third 3 cards, I have to give credit to Bridget Esselmont of Biddy Tarot for. It's a beautiful little 3-card spread, which can be used in so many ways on its own or as part of a larger reading like this. And I keep coming back to it because I find it so useful. Right, back again, and we're going to finish up by looking at these cards in groups. So starting with the lower body chakras. And if we look at the very first card that we started this whole reading with, the 4 of Swords reversed, and how it connects with the opportunities afforded by that Hanged Man reversed, it's quite interesting to note that that's how this whole reading started. It's like the cornerstone of everything else that follows. So it's like using the opportunity of whatever pause, whether that's a willing pause or not, to look at things in new ways, to allow ourselves to see things differently. And there we've got that 4 of Swords that says, take the time to really think, be still and think. And yes, it's about thinking, it's air, it's the mental body, but also a connection with a higher guidance. So we're right at the bottom of the bodily chakras, but there is the stained glass window there is a connection to the higher ones too. None of these energy centers work in isolation. It's like water flowing through a series of pools, and so they are all connected and they do all feed each other. So we're at the root, we're thinking, but it is connected with the higher ones. You know, just let it be fueled by a higher perspective. And there's this recognition of us as those people who are of the land, right? Looking at the energy of the wands and how we need to stand our ground together, need to, when we know what's right, to just be able to defend ourselves from being dissuaded from it, at the same time knowing that it's not about winning, it's not about defeating anybody, it's not about needing to be right at the expense of anybody else. It's not about that. And there's also the sense of leaving whatever emotional baggage behind that we have used, again, that pause and that contemplation to sort out as far as we can. And then jumping up to the solar plexus, there's this awareness here, an invitation to become aware of how we do need to look after our own energy. It's up to us. We can do it, but it takes care. It takes some patience, some diligence, and some discipline, and a willingness to take responsibility for that, right? But even though I'm talking about, you know, taking time out, think hard, and there's diligence and discipline, there's some beautiful energies here to connect to. Look at the joy in that 10 of Cups right up at the top there. The beauty of that Strength card, about having an awareness that not to underestimate our own strength there. And yes, we've got the Tower. So all of the other cards are within our control. These are decisions we can make, intentions we can have. The Tower card is different. This is something that will, you know, that happens externally, that we're exposed to or we come across. But then we've got that beautiful High Priestess energy, giving us an indication of how to meet that. And this isn't new after all. We've had it's in the area of the navel, so how we connect to each other. So we've had a lot of changes that we've already met. So it is in the position of carry on, right? This isn't brand new to us. And then we move on to the high heart and the heart. And again, look at that, the strength, the beautiful strength of the heart, reminding us how much wisdom there is, how much we can connect to our own strength there. All of this is individually and as community. But again, look at those 7, 8, the guy working on the count coins anyway. I'm not very good with the numbers with some of these, but the diligence and the care, you know, we're taught from a young age to connect with the language of the head, with words, with thoughts, that the intellect reigns supreme. So it takes some care, it takes some practice, it takes some time to connect with that, the wisdom of the heart and the language of the heart. The heart has a language, but it's quieter, and it's like learning any language. You just need to practice to understand it and to speak it, for that matter. And again, there's the grounding of the king, and looking at the high heart, again, all within our control, connecting to the innocence of the inner child, the purity of that, the beautiful energy of that empress there, with temperance, creating a balance with mourning and moving into the future without over romanticizing things. The inner child is innocent, but does not have its head in the cloud. You know, children are very grounded, aren't they? They communicate with their whole bodies, but they communicate very directly. They haven't learned subterfuge yet, right? And this Knight of Cups in this position, that's learned a certain degree of perhaps being able to, the head in the clouds is kind of nice sometimes, but not here. We're advised not to. Much better to have that insightful, penetrating gaze of the Queen of Swords. Now we're moving up again. Most of this within our control. In fact, now I take that back, all of it within our control again. So think before we speak. The Empress and the Six of Cups again with the Hierophant. I mean, yeah, I don't want to repeat myself too much. Yes, we begin to get some less savory energy in the crown there, but there's a reminder that we don't need to connect with it. We are not bound. We may feel we are. We may feel we're disconnected from the higher aspects of ourselves and beyond, either because we're persuaded that it's all stupid, it's all nonsense, or because we feel we're not capable, whatever. But we can unbind ourselves from that relatively easily. And similarly with the third eye, the sense of maybe not being able to see everything we want to see, or the sense that there's some kind of barrier there. There's very clear indications of how to find that door. It is within us to be able to do that, right? But it's only here where we start to see some external interference. So we're looking at the soul star and the causal, that devil energy with the King of Swords and with the Five of Swords. And I think I did say it when we were talking about each of the energy centers, but it's worth repeating. There, it is interference, and it is very useful to be aware of it. And that King of Swords may indicate that we are becoming more aware of it. I think we have been, and that looks like it's going to continue. But not to put too much attention there, right? Because if we put our attention into what's not right, what's interference, what we don't want, it doesn't even matter if it's what we might classify as useful attention or good attention or bad attention. It's all attention and therefore energy. And that's then energy that is not being put into the areas that actually can serve us. So yes, be aware, but don't focus on it. Doesn't, in this context, in relation to this question for this reading anyway, it doesn't really make that much difference whether it's deliberate, who's doing it, where it's coming from. It's just be aware of it and then focus on what is useful to focus on, right? And choose wisely. Discernment, very important, but keep going. Things may feel heavy, but keep going. We're there, and if we're not quite there, then we're very nearly there. The new cycle is emerging. We are emerging into the new cycle, either way. And then look, it's as though almost there's a bit of a fug of interference at the causal and the soul star. So some interference with information. You can think of it almost as a stream of kind of information going through the airways. But then if we can navigate through that, which we can, then at the stellar gateway, there isn't any of that. Still some confusion, yes, with the moon energy, but that's more along the lines of when we discover things. I don't know if you can see it clearly. The card's upside down, but there's a crayfish there that's emerging from the water. Now, when things emerge that we're not familiar with, especially in the moonlight, they can look kind of weird, and they may even freak us out a bit. But we have the world, you know, we have the world, and it is so beautiful that this is right at the top there. We have everything we need, and it is indicated, and I feel it very strongly, that it is not helpful to allow that understanding to be stolen. And it's not even as though anybody's doing the stealing. You know, there might be persuasion, there might be programming, but it's only us that allows it to happen, right? It's the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, that I'm making it up. So no. And at the top right corner, then we've got that guy, the Two of Wands, sort of looking out into the future again, planning, where do I want to go, from a fairly elevated position, right? The stellar gateway. So we're going to end up by looking at the ones beneath our feet. And then there's this extraordinary lot of 5 cards for the Earth Star. Quite major stuff. Got 3 major arcana cards there, very dense energy, some change that might be quite extreme, it might not be, but look at the guidance. The guidance is that the knight, who in this position is not got his head in the clouds, he's following his heart, so he's going straight for change, because he knows that it is through change that we get those opportunities that are afforded by that Ace of Wands there. Really lovely. Same direction, the Page of Wands. If we don't allow ourselves to get distracted by the more profane and denser elements of that Lover's card, we move forward. Perhaps it's not all joyful, perhaps there's some regrets. Of course, there's always going to be the possibility of being sad about leaving the familiar, but it is going into a particular direction. So the world, our foundations may feel shaky, and that can be that can feel uncomfortable, right? But we have got this way through. And then beneath that, we've got again a much calmer energy. So it's as though there's this sort of layer right beneath our feet and right above our heads. But if we get through in both directions, then things are much clearer. So we've got that opportunity there again with another ace, the Ace of Swords, that understanding, the clarity, the being able to release those sticks, let them go, move into that next cycle. And then there's quite holding energy of those two in relatively healthy positions here, I'd say. Well, yeah, healthy aspects of the divine masculine, kind of giving direction and holding the space. So this is right at the bottom. So even though the that 4 of Swords was the beginning card, it's not at the bottom of the sort of vertical axis of the whole reading. So I'd say this is the last card, the Hierophant and the Emperor. Oh, I'll put them both, the last cards. So a very strong energy. So there's a sort of cornerstone of, when we look at what the dolphin matrix connects to, that real deep, the ancient ancestral wisdom. That's a pretty solid foundation. So we just need to remember that is available to us, as is that world right in the top. So even though things may not feel all like time to dance and celebrate, there's some really beautiful energy here. So I'm going to finish up by saying Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's been of some interest, and thank you for listening. Bye for now.